Today I'm going to talk to you about the brand new product from Fillauer. This is the Myoelectric. This was a partnership with Co-op to really try to develop an electrode that solved a lot of the problems we have in trying to fit these upper limb myoelectric patients. This design is going to let us do a lot of things that we haven't in the past. One of the problems that I've frequently run into is, well, I have 16 ounces worth of crap and I got to fit them in an 8-ounce cup. Well, that can be quite a challenge. Trying to get all of this stuff into one small thing can be a real problem. Or I run into the issue where, well, I have these big dummies that I have to try to somehow get down inside my socket as well, or make space for, or be limited to that location because, well, I've got some block-shaped electrode that I've got to actually use inside my socket. Or I have some big sealing ring that I have to try to get in there to keep my socket airtight. Well, with this design, it solves those issues. So I've got this one small electrode and wire. This set of 5 electrodes in one preamp is going to take the place of 2 single-site electrodes. So no longer do I have to try to get all of that into one socket. I have this one small device to get down in there. The other thing I don't have to worry about is if I have that patient that tends to sweat on electrodes and cause lots of problems, well, I don't care about water anymore. The new Myoelectric is actually waterproof, so we don't care. If it gets a little water in the socket, that's not a big deal. We're still going to be able to use this and we're going to be able to get great control out of it. Not only is this electrode going to come with these new Co-op control seal domes, we've got this great option of snap electrodes, which we've had some time ago and was a really great thing to be able to use with patients who need a liner, so we can just snap these electrodes on. Now with the remote electrode, these new control seal domes from Co-op give us some really great options as well. Because in the past, we used to have to use these domes. And if you're familiar with these domes, there was a nut on the back. You have to grind off the back of the dome, and you had to somehow seal it from the socket wall or it would short. With the new control seal domes from Co-op, they come with this little insulator on the back that's going to keep all your parts together. They're going to seal this off from that socket wall, so no longer do I have to worry about this thing shorting out to the back of the socket. And one of the best things is it's this simple screw together design where I'm going to be able to seal the inside of my socket off as well. No big sealing rings, no extra dummies. All I got to do is screw this thing together, pop it in my socket, and I have almost infinite ability to adjust where each of these electrodes sits in my socket wall so I can get the best signal from my patient possible. And so when it comes to this one, we've solved a lot of your issues from being waterproof to low profile, great seals, easy to install. All 5 will take you less than 3 minutes to put in your socket. Really, I think we've taken care of most of the problems we run into with electrodes today. Okay, so your brand new Myoelectric has just showed up in the mail. Here's your box. This is what it's going to look like. I'm going to go ahead and open this up. Here on the inside, I've got my electrode set. This one little box, this is both electrodes. This is a 2-side electrode set that comes right here. Also in here, you're going to get a little package. It's going to say Co-op on it. This little package is going to have your domes in it. These are the control seal domes. This is what's going to go on the other side here. In here, you're going to have a spare dome, so just in case you drop on the floor and can't find it, you got one. Also, there's going to be a small tool for installing those electrodes inside the socket. Last thing in the box, something you may not want to throw away. These are the instructions for the electrode. There's some really great stuff in here that we spent some time on, so you'll want to make sure to hang on to these so you can use these as you go. So we've got the electrode. Now, you've ordered it most likely in the standard size. That's going to come at 10 inches of wire length here. Now, if you need it, this can actually be ordered in an 18-inch version. Also, we've got these standard size domes that you get the 6 of. If you run into an issue, you can actually order a large dome by itself that'll come a little bit bigger than this and actually help you fill up some extra space if you run into some connection problems with your patient. The other thing you can also get you might not be aware of is it will not only come in the remote electrode version, but you can also get it in a snap version. We've had something like this before, And all it will do is you get a dome that sits right inside a liner. So we're going to connect this to the liner, and these individual snaps will pop right on the back of your liner, so the patient can use a liner and still have great electrode connection. So those are your options that give you some different ability to take care of different presentations of different patients. So it makes your life simple. So those are the other things you can do. Now, when it comes to connection on these, you're going to have two options. My preference is the iPad. Definitely with the larger screen size, you have access to a lot more adjustment right here on one screen. But because most people will have an iPhone or something like this sitting nearby, this will be a simple way. So we'll show how to do the initial setups using my iPhone here. Okay, now that we've kind of gone through some of your options on the electrode, let's talk a little bit about what the installation looks like. So here again is my electrode. It does have this nice wire that actually has this small slide on it, so you can control the length of the separated portion of the wire. So I can slide this down and actually peel back each individual electrode. So I can put these in my socket however I want. So if I have a socket like this and I want to separate these at different lengths, I can do that. And then once I've got these installed, I can bring this little slide back up and really control where these electrodes are going on the socket itself. So because I'm going to go ahead and use this for setting up a test with a patient, instead of installing it in my socket to start with, I'm going to just use some small pieces of plastic with 3 holes drilled in each to do my basic myo testing on and get everything figured out before we get started in putting them in the socket itself. So let's show how to do that real quick. So with my electrode, I can take a simple coaxial plug that you'll be using anyway with your setups. And I'm going to go ahead and plug my electrodes right here into the back of that. Okay. And then I'm going to need a battery of some sort, so I'm going to use a Tasca battery here. We'll go ahead and connect our Tasca battery. We got that all set up. That's going to give me power. Okay. So now that I have power, well, this electrode is completely Bluetooth operated, so I don't need to get inside the socket to get to this thing. So I'm going to be able to go ahead and connect to this Bluetooth to make any gain changes I need right here from my cell phone. So once we get that set up, all I have to do at this point is have gotten power to it. So this electrode's ready to go, and I can connect at any time. So we'll go ahead and put these electrodes on these small pieces of plastic. So I'll show you how to do one of these. So I'm going to take a red one. I'm going to take one of my domes. I'm going to go ahead and install that on the other side. And we'll real quickly just pop this in. So you'll notice on the back of each one of these electrodes, we do have these little protectors here. These are going to keep these electrodes from grounding out to your socket like you may have had trouble with some of these things in the past. That's no longer an issue with these, nor are you going to have trouble with all the hardware falling out, because they're all controlled and sealed together with these small caps on the back of my electrodes themselves. So then we go ahead and install these, each electrode into each side. I will need to put my ground on one of the 2 pieces here. That ground can be located anywhere on your socket that you actually have really good connections with the patient's skin. You don't want this ground wire ever pulling away. That's going to be the black wire. Otherwise, I need the red and red on one side, and again, the blue and blue on the other. Okay, so now we have all the electrodes installed. So I've got a power source coming to my electrode, electrodes installed. Next thing I need to do is I'm going to need to go and get my iOS app installed. So I can take my manual, and right here in the back of that manual is a QR code. I can snap a quick picture of that and go straight to the Fillauer website, right to that Myo1 page. You're going to see a download there for that iOS app. Now, once I have downloaded that and I've tested my patient, I can go straight from these over to installing these electrodes in my check socket. But let's go ahead and install that app real quick. So we're going to power this device up. Now once we got it downloaded, we're going to go in. We're going to power up. We're going to find our electrode. It'll pop up under your device's screen. We'll select it. And then what we can do just to make sure everything's working right, so we can grab the electrodes, put it up against our skin, and go ahead and give some signals in each direction and make sure that I'm seeing this thing work on my iOS app. Looks like we're in good shape and ready to test this patient or install these things directly in the socket. So to help me demonstrate how we're going to quickly get some Myo signal sites, some Myo sites is Ken. Ken's been doing this for a couple years. So we'll do real quickly, we'll find his Myo sites the way we would normally do this, just to show you how simple this can be. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to find this good flexion side, so give me a little signal. I'm going to find his muscle side here. I'm going to place one set of electrodes there. Go ahead and give me an extension. There it is. So I've got that extension side. And so we're going to look at his signals. I'm going to have Ken give me a flexion. There we go. Now give me extension. Okay, there we go. Now give me flexion. Okay. Seeing signals on both sides, this is probably a pretty good starting place. I might move that one a little. Go ahead and give me a signal again on the extensor. Good. Let's move that flexor just a little. Go ahead and give me a flexion. There we go. So now we're looking for good separation between those signals and nice strong signals on both sides. With Ken, I'm not having to really worry about my gains. My gains look pretty good. I can adjust these real simply while we're doing this right here on my window. But because I've found some pretty good sites, we're going to go ahead and mark these on his skin. So I'll just use a Sharpie real quick. I'll start with this side. I can see where those two domes were. I'm going to real quick just mark those on his skin so that we can transfer them to our socket. All right, we'll do the same on our flexion side. Give it a little push so we can see those. Go 1, 2, 3. So we know that those are pretty good places on there, so we know that that's where we're going to start when we move over to our socket. Now what I can do is go ahead and just make sure that those are my best spot now that I got them marked, is I can go ahead and move this about a 1/2 inch up. Go ahead and give me a signal there, Ken. Let me see what I got. That's a nice signal as well. Let's move it back down to where we were. Okay, and we're going to go down a 1/2 inch. Go ahead and give me that one. That one actually looks a little better. And we're going to move distally about a 1/2 inch. Oh, we don't like that one.
Don't like it.
So actually, we like it a little posterior to where I found those this first time. So I'll need to make sure to mark that when I go to my socket. I can go ahead and just say, hey, look, we're going to do these right here. And give myself a second set that's just a hair below the first set we did. Do the same thing on the other side. Get a good feel for where those electrodes need to be. If you're running into problems, there's more extensive videos out there on testing that specifically, but I want to show you kind of how simple this goes as we're moving over to the socket. So now we're ready to put on Ken's socket. We've got those sites marked. Now one thing that's going to happen the moment he puts the socket on is that skin's going to move. So Ken, go ahead and I'm going to just kind of palpate that and see where this is in relation to that epicondyle real fast. All right, so I have a good feel for where that is. Then go ahead and do this side, because I'm going to be able to see these epicondyles right there. They're going to stay pretty steady. I'll be able to see those in there. I got a good idea where these marks are going to end up. So Ken, if you can go ahead and get that on there, and we'll figure out about where those things are supposed to be. All right, so Ken's got his socket on. These move real good, but I can see that epicondyle right here. So I'm going to go ahead and mark those. I see that they've moved up. So I'm going to mark those right where they were before. I'm going to come over here. These moved up a little bit, but not too bad. You see my epicondyle here. And we're going to go ahead and mark that off right like that. Now I do know with my ground, I actually would rather, I feel like, move this one a little bit. So I'm gonna try moving my ground out of the way and giving myself some extra room to work with. Doesn't matter, I can drill as many holes in this check socket as I want to make sure I get these exactly where I want them to be. So there's gonna be my setup. So now that I've got my sights marked, I'm gonna need to go ahead and get these ready to put the electrodes in. Now, if you were using the old style, you'd be hoping that you mark these dead on and you'd be putting this dummy in place, because you're either gonna have to put this big old grommet in there and hope that you're right, or well, you're gonna be getting a Dremel out to move this thing around. Now in this case, instead of using those dummies, what we're gonna do is we're gonna take an 1/8 inch drill bit and we're just gonna go ahead and drill a hole on each of those spots we marked. It's a little tight. It's a little bit of a tight fit, so I'm going to give myself a little extra room on these because they are to press fit down inside your softer plastics. So I'm going to go ahead and drill these each out. I'm going to go ahead and give myself that extra ground one that I think is going to do better down below potentially. Now, if I wanted to, I can also go ahead and give myself another hole pattern, because I know that I had other potential places. So I'm going to give myself 2 extra holes to go with, just in case I want to move them as I'm actually doing my testing. Then I'll go ahead and drill that other side. So now that my socket's drilled, I'm ready to go ahead and install the domes. Now, it's going to come with this tool where you can just pop that little electrode dome right in the top of the tool. And I can grab this thing with a screwdriver. There's lots of little holes and places where you can install this and reach around. And so that's going to hold that steady for you while you put it in. Do make sure when you're putting those in that you don't use any kind of silicone or Loctite on the thread of that bolt, otherwise you're going to get no signal traveling through it. So it should be just that screw itself. There is a lock washer on the inside that makes it easy. So now we'll go ahead and install the rest of these electrodes in the same way I just put that one in. Very quick and easy, should take you no more than about 3 minutes to get all electrodes installed with these. So now we have our socket ready. Ken's going to go ahead and put that on for us. All right, so we're all set up. We're going to go ahead and turn our electrodes on here. Just make sure we're good still. Go ahead and give me an extensor signal. Good. All right, go ahead and give me flexion signal. Okay. I don't know that I like my flexion signal as much. Now, as far as the electrodes, are there any electrodes sitting over a bone on you at all? Are we clear?
We're clear.
It's clear, but it's close?
It's close.
Is it far enough away? Do we need to move it a little bit?
Yeah, we might move it a little.
Okay, so we'll move one of his flexion electrode, or his extension electrodes, because it is sitting pretty close to his epicondyle. We don't want to get any irritation. Nice thing is it's going to take me 2 seconds to move that, so we'll do that. I'm going to check on this side. Go ahead and give me that flexion signal one more time. I think I need to move my flexion electrode up a little bit. So let's go ahead and move both of those things. If you want to pull that off for me, Ken. There we go. Good tight fit. We'll go ahead and turn everything off before I disconnect it. I'm going to move this one just a hair because I don't like that sitting over top of that epicondyle. I'll just pull that off. Now we're going to go ahead and put an extra hole in here. So we'll pop that electrode out. And we're going to put just a little further down. I'm going to go ahead and give myself another little hole. So we're going to put one there. We'll go ahead and we'll put this dome right back in. All we've done is we've moved it down just a little bit. So now we should be right off the top of that bone. So now we're good there. So now we want to go to this side. We're going to pop that one back in on the back here. So we're going to move it from where we were here back up to this spot that I'd already pre-drilled. We're going to connect this one up here and see if we can get a little better signal, which we should be able to, because I think with this other one we were right over top of some graft. So we're ready to go. Electrodes moved. Ken, can you go ahead and put this back on for me? Just kind of see where everything's sitting here now. Let's double check our electrode sites again. So we'll turn them back on and we'll connect up. There we go. All right, we are connected, we're in. We're looking at some electrodes. Can you go ahead and give me some signals, Ken? Flexion, extension?
That's extension.
Okay, give me a little bit of
That's
flexion. Better on the flexion. All right, I think we're getting pretty good on these. So I'm gonna actually go ahead and plug Ken up because it's a whole lot easier to see once we have a terminal device in here. So we'll turn off real quick. And then we're gonna pop right back over to the terminal device. We're going to go to our motion control user interface for our terminal devices. And let's see here, we'll go ahead and connect up to these guys. There we go. So we're getting some good control. So we're going to see what's going on right here. Oh, we got all kinds of weird settings on this. So let's go in and we'll get Ken set up here. First over, is the direction correct?
Yeah, the direction's correct.
Okay. We're going to look at dual channel. We're going to speed it up a little because it's a little slow there. There we go. We're going to look at our channels here, see what's going on. Nice clean signals. Looks really good. Don't really see any kind of artifacts needing high thresholds. I'm going to bump my thresholds down, see how we look. And Ken's got great control. So we're in good shape on this one. Ken's all set up. We'd be ready to go ahead and transfer this over to a finished socket for Ken. So now we've gone ahead and we've installed those electrodes in our finished socket. So you can see them down in there. Everything should be nice and airtight. So we're going to have a good sealed socket. This is all I got to get down into that socket anymore. We used to joke about trying to get 5 gallons worth of stuff into a 1 gallon bucket. Well, now this is all I've got to do. And the nice thing with this unit too is we're sealed off. We're not going to get water in there, and there's no need for a hole in the side so that you can adjust your gains. You're going to be able to get right back to those with your phone if you want to do that. So we'll go ahead and push this in. I do go ahead with these, and I'm going to make sure all my wires run from the top down. There is this nice little slide that's going to come on here. So if I want to go ahead and make sure those wires are nice and collected at the bottom of the socket, I can do that. Makes it a little easier to work this down and in. We've got some batteries in the way. We'll move those out a little bit. Get this in there. And we are good to go. Ken, if you can put that on here, we'll go ahead and try this out. Whew. There we go. All right. Ken's in. Let's go ahead and turn her on here. See what we've got. We have got control, which is a good first sign. So I'm going to go ahead and connect up to his terminal device, make sure that I see everything look the way it should. We've got, looks like our control's pretty good. All right, so we're connected up. We're taking a look at what's going on with his channels. Everything's connected here. Everything looks really nice and clean. We can go ahead and give me a full open. Go ahead and give me a full closed. And we turned on our flag settings, which is kind of fun. So let's just bump those gains down a little. We're a little hot. That looks really nice. Cool. All right. See, really clean. So we're in good shape.
It's working good.
Looks good. Simple, easy, makes your life a whole lot easier, certainly faster. It'll be one of the quickest setups you do without having to deal with dummies and everything else. So let's say that you've gotten everything done and the patient has shrunk out of their arm just a little bit. and you're no longer getting great electrode sight. One of the great things about using remote electrodes is I can go back in and change this really easily. One of the things I can do is I'll be able to go in and I can switch one of these domes over to a high profile dome. Those are available separately. So I could go in and just switch the one out where I'm not getting great contact. You can usually see that as a little spot on their skin where you're not seeing the electrode like you used to. The other thing I can do with a remote electrode is I can just pull this to the side, put a little bit of foam between my hard socket and the back of my soft socket. It's going to push that electrode right on over. So those are kind of two simple things that you might have happen with the electrode. The other thing that you can do, and to me this is one of the best things about this, is if I've finished this socket, everything's done, and I don't love the signal I'm getting. Well, the best part is all I have to do to change an electrode location, take my socket out, drill another 1/8 inch hole, move my electrode to where I want to, fill that old hole with some silicone, patient's right ready to go again. So these electrodes will really make this part a whole lot easier.